Well, there's Apple. You remember what I said about gaps? There was a clear buy signal right there. Where's my... Well, there was a question here about where you draw trend lines. I don't know why I'm not getting my... See, there's a... well, this is weird. I don't know, maybe it's the projector or something. I can't get to the edge here, but I've got another way of doing that. Let's see. Images. Oh, well, Think TDA. There's a, for those of you who don't have access to a model, there are a couple of ways to do it. I mean, you can buy the software, but TD Ameritrade has all of these tools in their Thinkorswim platform.
Which tools are those?
Options analysis. Well, you know, sometimes nothing works. This is one of those times.
You mean the standard options analysis tools in TD?
Yeah, Black-Scholes or model, you know.
I think most of the audience are familiar with those.
Okay, so if you're not, you can send me an email, and I'll introduce you to a guy who can sign you up.
Because we use TD Ameritrade here, or TOS all the time.
You do?
In fact, we may even use it in the next half hour.
Well, I tell you, I don't know why it's not coming up here, but I do know that, like all presentations, everything will go wrong that can go wrong. Let me get a... So, here's my present chart, or one version of my present chart. You can see the trend lines coming in here. This is from November 11th. This is from November of 11. This is November of 12. And you can see the short-term trend line here, which is from October of last year. And your first hint that something is going to crunch here is the breaking of this trend line right here.
So the trend line is this one here? It goes right along here?
Right. Right,
And
right.
you're looking for it to break here?
Right, right. If that gets broken, if that's my practice would be to start scaling into a hedge if that trend line is broken. Now, that's not what I recommend my readers do. I recommend my readers decide whether they want to hedge or whether they want to sit on it, because surer than anything that if there's a correction here, it will be sharp, and maybe violent, but it will be a buying opportunity, not a selling opportunity. In other words, we're in the bull market of a lifetime, so why not take advantage of it? Let's see. So is there any, can I take questions?
Sure, we'll take another 5-10 minutes.
Okay, whatever you want.
When you draw the trend line, do you draw it from the page scale or from the internet, or do you only draw the audio?
How do you draw the trend line?
How do you draw the trend line?
Do you choose the
Well,
yarn candlestick you use in the wick part, or you using the body part? Exactly how you...
oh, well, you catch the low here, okay? You catch the low here and the low here, and you've got a valid trend line. And this
So right
trend...
there are those low points.
Yeah, basically, you could, they're actually basing points also, or sometimes questionably, but arguably basing points. But what you're doing is you have a wave up, you have a wave down, you have a wave up, you have a wave down. Along the lows of those wave downs, you draw the trend line. Excuse me, and there's a very clever observation that John Magee made to know when that was occurring. And the way he said to tell was that, first of all, there are no lower prices after this day. So we look at that day as perhaps the beginning of the basing point, or the wave low. Then we look for 3 days that are outside the range of that bar, which we have 1, 2, 3 right here, and we can set a stop in there. Okay, 5 or 6% under that point. This, it's amazing how few traders and how few technicians know that. I mean, Magee said that in 1948. But you can mark. The same thing is true on the upside. You know when a wave has crested by taking the high point when there are no higher prices and looking for 3 days that are outside the range, and voila, you have a wave high. Very, very sound. I find it works. I don't remember a case I found where it doesn't work, but that's one way to do it.
So it sounds like, in summary, that if a person uses price, volume, although you really haven't talked about volume, and trend lines, that's basically all we need to be successful.
Pretty simple, huh?
Very, very, good.
That's all I've got. It's working for me. Now, maybe someday, somewhere down the road, I'll discover that it's actually a screwdriver I'm driving nails with. But
Since you have volume on your chart, how do you use volume? I don't think you mentioned.
I think volume is there's a lot of stuff about volume. I mean, a lot of stuff about volume means this or volume means that, or there's not enough volume in this advance, so it must not mean anything. Volume is always contextual and always related to the data around it, and sometimes it's absolutely obvious, and when it's not, it's usually not important. So, but let's say when I look at, say, when I look at this day right here, I'm looking at a breakout? No. Let's see. I don't have my cursor on here, but look at these high volume days that are occurring as the market goes to new highs. You know, that's the way I look at it, but I don't say, oh, okay, I'm going to ignore those bars because they don't have any volume.
So when you enter, because some of the models of past are evident only in hindsight. If you go from left to right, can you just go from left to right and show us how you take this chart?
Well, no, I don't think that that's totally true. If you read my letters in my archive, you'll see that the analyses that I'm talking about here were the analyses made at the time. I mean, they were made in real time, and the point is that you may not be able to predict, but the chart will tell you what to do right now. Okay, so right now the chart is saying be long. Go ahead.
So can you go left to right? Because the key point, tell us how you do it.
Well, left to right. God, I really need this. Very, very strange. Left to right, you know, I'm watching a wave get up here and it crests right here. And then I break a trend line. I don't know where that trend line is from right this minute because
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, go ahead. See, the thing is, you don't know that it's crest until it comes down to 3 days, right?
Well, in this particular case, right here, okay, I see there's a crest. I can say that's probably the high, and then I get 3 days away from it, and I say, okay, that's the wave high. And then I see that there's trouble because coming across the support line here, there's a gap and there's a power bar, and I know that I'm going to give some money back. But in this market, when you've had to give money back, you have unparalleled buying opportunities. For example, if you drew a line right here, you could enter right here. Okay? I mean, I've seen this time and time and time again in this market. I call it, well, it's sort of like an ABC wave, sort of like Elliot talks about ABC waves. I don't really call it an ABC wave. I call it an alpha, beta, gamma wave, because you have an alpha, which is a sell-off. You have a beta, which is a bounce, and you have a test of the low, which is the gamma. And then I call this the zeta wave. The zeta wave is where you draw a trend line here across this, and these recoveries have been almost 100% reliable. I mean, they're just they're a gimme, as it were. So I look at this. I don't have the line on this chart, but I have a sell-off. I have another sell-off, which is not quite as perfect a formation. But once again, here's the power bar that's coming off of this down wave, and it powers up to here, and then I conjectured that this might be a flag, and it might be. And of course, this is just a little congestion pattern, but there's certainly a healthy market. You know, there's no sign of a top. I mean, you saw the top that I illustrated from 2007, 2008. You know, when you have a bull market like this, it would be extremely rare for it to have a V top, I think. That's what I think right now. I may think something else tomorrow. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.